Federico Chiesa to Chelsea is a distinct possibility, with massive trouble boiling at Juve. Not only their form in the league and the threat of no Champions League football, but maybe even relegation should some allegations against them for more corruption within the Italian leagues turn out to be true. Chelsea Football Club made inquiries in the summer of 2021 about the potential signing of Chiesa and will attempt to go back in for the Italian star this summer. Manchester United are also looking at making a January transfer move for one of Ralf Ragnick's previous players that he brought through the ranks at RB Leipzig. We're going to delve into that and much, much more this morning on the Done Deal Show. Make sure that like button has been smashed. Subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's do this. Morning, one and all. Welcome back to the Terrace. We're talking Chiesa to Chelsea and Amadou Haidara from RB to Manchester United this forthcoming January. We're going to delve into both those big transfer stories this morning. I also want to take your calls on the Ballon d'Or. A lot of people frustrated that Lionel Messi got it. Most people I see celebrating Messi's award are more so rubbing salt into the wounds of Cristiano Ronaldo. Chelsea fans unhappy about Mendy not winning goalkeeper of the year. Are personal awards worthwhile? Do they actually mean anything? I want to take some calls on that this morning as well. The Straight Fact Show with me and Lee Gunner live at 3 o'clock this afternoon as well. And tonight, with no major football on, we are going to be back with hot takes. We're going to be looking at some of the hottest takes on social media in the last week or so. Really exciting day on the terrace today. But this morning, we're talking Federico Chiesa. We're talking Amadou Haidara to Chelsea and Man United. Both these deals are on. Both these deals could happen. Both these deals are genuine. Both these deals could pick up pace. Different reasons for both of them. We're going to delve into them this morning. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. Make sure that like button's being smashed as well. We have a super chat from the start today that says, "Morning, Terry and chat. I'd love to see Man United look at Tyler Adams from Leipzig before Haidara. Either way, it doesn't matter. Let's see what Ragnick decides to do. In Ralf, we trust." And we'll definitely delve into that transfer in a few moments' time. And it's an intriguing one for me. Legitimately is an intriguing one for me that I want to sort of look at as well. Ballon d'Or is rigged. Lewandowski should be the winner. And we'll delve into that. We're going to take your calls on that a little later. And I'm going to give you my views, my opinions, my thoughts and feelings on that as well. And I think, I'm not saying my opinions are worth more than anybody else, but obviously thousands of you tuning a day to listen. So I will share them. I will tell you what I think and I will tell you what I feel. But I want to start off with the Federico Chiesa deal. Let me start off by saying straight away, 110%, I get the feeling the majority of the Italian media will instantly try and say not happening. A lot of the European media will try and say no, and it will be words to the effect of Juve have no desires to sign, the player hasn't spoke about leaving, it's impossible to get Italy's best players out, generally speaking, and words to that effect. That will be the official rhetoric. But Chelsea made inquiries about Chiesa in the summer, and rightfully put by the press then, were knocked back. They were told, no, there's no chance, you can't take him, you can't have him. During Roman's era, it's not as though being told no has ever deterred him from chasing after his main targets. Chiesa is one of the best wingers or inside forwards, whatever phrase you like to use, in world football at this moment in time. And Juve are in a mess. There is reports of corruption and more allegation that could lead to them being relegated. Now, that's just a theory as of right now, what could happen, worst case scenario, in dodgy transfer dealings, the inflation of prices, etc. Of course, there's going to be teams in Italy and around Europe licking their lips at the prospect of this, being able to sweep in and take some of these class players away from Juve. But Chelsea are looking at him. Chelsea have already made inquiries. The deal has got so far to go right now. There's a long, long way to go. But with Juve currently sitting in 7th place, I think there's somewhere like 6 to 7 points away from the top 4 in their country. They're looking like they're not going to qualify for the Champions League. So even without the threat of relegation, Chelsea are going to go in, and they're going to go in hard to try and bring Federico Chiesa into Chelsea this summer. As mentioned, this deal is on. This deal has legs. This deal is real. It will be denied by the majority of European and Italian press. And even in fairness, in the UK, people are going to play it down. They're not going to build it up too much. They don't want Chelsea fans getting too gassed, because it may not happen. Juve may qualify for the Champions League. They may not get, relegation may not come in. There are other clubs in Europe, including Bayern Munich, also looking at the potential of bringing him in. But of course, we cover the top 6 teams in the Premier League, so we focus from that angle. Chelsea is certainly looking at this mood. And I want to know from Chelsea fans this morning, how excited are you about the potential prospect of this deal? How excited are you? Who does he come in for? Where does he play within this system? Who gets sold and moved on? I want your take on this rumor. That's what fandom's all about. Fandom's about getting excited about the ifs, the buts, the whats, the maybes, the hypotheticals. Without that, fandom is dead. So I want your feelings on that this morning, people. I really, really do. Let's go to some of your comments here. VK Dean says Chiesa equals beast. Frazo says here Ziyech will be the guy. Yeah, I think Ziyech could be the casualty, if I'm being honest. Ziyech, I think Timo Werner needs to be looked at. Now, I know one's a central striker, the other isn't. But Timo Werner's time at Chelsea is coming to an end as far as I can see. Unless he goes on a mad scoring run between now and the end of the season, I see no way, no shape, or no form that he can remain. I just can't see it. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever that he can stay at Chelsea performing the way that he does. Blue Lion here says Chiesa is coming to Chelsea. Another midfielder. Again, great. I want your comment back here, Blue King. You sign Chiesa, who goes out? Who are you letting leave for him? I'm not denying that you couldn't pull him. Chelsea can sign any player in the world they want. I wouldn't look past someone like Paul Pogba going to Chelsea or Man City as well, by the way. I something just in my gut. No one said anything, not a single journalist. That's just a gut feeling as a fan in relation to that. Let's take a look at some more of these comments here. Where are you guys at? TJB, one of our members, says rivals should be worried if Chiesa goes to Chelsea. I think rivals are already worried about Chelsea. If we're being completely honest and upfront and frank, people are already worried about Chelsea. That's why Chelsea have had a lot of, been downplayed by a lot of people. Their style, the amount of defensive positions they start with on the field of play, etc. So it's mad to me. Like I've never really seen anything like the way Chelsea are being disrespected like right now with the way they play football. Starlord says, if I was Chelsea, Kai Havertz would be the one to go. He is the biggest flop. Do Chelsea fans really feel like that? Do Chelsea fans feel like Kai Havertz is a flop? I'd love your take on that right now. By the way, if you are watching over on YouTube, please give this a retweet. Come join us over on Twitter. Give this a retweet. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you follow us. And if you are watching on YouTube, all our other social media platforms are listed in the description below. We'd love for you to go give us a follow on them so you can see us covered across multiple social platforms. Is the phrase to secure a berth? It isn't. That isn't the phrase. I've never actually heard that phrase before. But thank you very much for having a guest this morning on the Football Terrace. Now, we are going to go to calls a little bit later. I also want to speak about the news surrounding Man United today. And that is Amadou Haidara, of course, of RB Leipzig, defensive midfield player, heavily linked with a move to Manchester United. The player himself, back in 2019, openly stated publicly that it was always his dream to play for Manchester United, a club that he grew up, maybe not supporting as such, but following and always having a desire to join. He is one of the many exceedingly talented players that Ralf has brought through the system in the RB project. And he's a player that Manchester United are now heavily interested in signing in January. A number of reports today that the Man United board will allow Ralf to sign players in January if they fit the bill, if they fit the club's mold, if they fit the club's plan. And this could be an option. Man United will intensify the scouting mission on him in the coming weeks in a number of games, including a Champions League game against Manchester City, to really assess and ensure that he fits in with the plan that's been put together over the last couple of years in terms of the player profiles and the style of play and mentality these players have. What's really interesting to see very early on at Old Trafford is the level of trust that's being put into Ralf Ragnick, the level of say that he's getting, the level of influence that he's allowed to have in terms of signing the new manager coming in. He's going to have a big say in the renewal of contracts of particular players, including Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, and there's another player that springs to mind. Somebody else's contract is coming to the end of its lifespan as well. I forget who that is now. I read it this morning. It's left my mind. But players coming to the end of their contracts, he's going to have a say in that as well. So it's really interesting time to see. Personally, don't know too much about Haidara. I read a little bit about him in the last sort of 24 hours since the links have been true, made some inquiries, and Man United are looking at him. This deal is another one of those transfers that is on. This is another one of those deals that could legitimately happen. And for around about £40 million is the buyout clause currently in his contract. Of course, Ralf, with exceedingly good contacts at RB, will put Man United in the driving seat to get that done. The feedback you also see from a lot of these players that have come through the RB projects across the world is their love, admiration, respect, and the sort of the father figure, the way they look up to the father figure that is Ralf Ragnick. And I think that's going to play massively into Man United's hands. These are what I look at as typical Man United signings. Of course, over the years, we've bought superstars. We've gone out and bought some of the best players in the world, both in the before Fergie, during Fergie, after Fergie. But something that's always impressed me as a Man United fan was to pick these players who are maybe not on the tips of everybody's tongue, that hold star quality that can develop. And maybe, just maybe, Haidara is that guy. The deal is on. The deal could happen in January. It's only sort of 4 weeks away now and the January window opens up. I do want your take on that this morning. I want your thoughts and feelings on it. We're talking Ballon d'Or as well. The awards, do they mean very much? We want to take your calls on that this morning as well. I've got some another super chat here to do about the secret phrase. Is it financial doping? No, financial doping isn't the phrase, but I actually get why you've gone with that guess today. Thank you very much. Jess here again with a member chat says playing a Haidara next to Fred or McTominay doesn't really fit Ragnick's style. We will still need a 6/8 that sits behind Haidara. Yeah, maybe. And look, I look at it this way. I feel like we've all done tactical videos or watched tactical videos on what he may or may not do. The one thing I've read on about 3 different scouting sites, and I would implore people when you're reading articles about Ralf to search articles ever before he was linked with or joined Man United. That way you can ensure there's no United bias, either in a positive or a negative sense. And the one thing I've read on a number of occasions is that he will adapt his style depending upon the playing squad and club that he is at. So the way he sets, the types of players he buys and the way he sets up at Leipzig will be very different to a Man United with a superior squad. So I don't think anybody really knows yet quite exactly what he's going to do. He's never had a squad like this. He's never been at a club like this. I'm really intrigued to see. Maybe in training, he's going to see something in a particular player where he said, actually, you're in the wrong role. I'm going to put you into this position. It's going to help, it's going to elevate you. It's going to better the team. So I'm very excited about that. But I do hear what you're saying there, Jess. Only time is going to tell. This link does seem very strong at this moment in time. Paul here says, Terry, top players adapt to whatever system is put in front of them. If they can't do that, they are not good enough. I mean, yeah and no. So you're telling me that your Liverpool players would be as good in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's system, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's style? Like, you really think all of your players would perform to that same level? If that's the case, then it's not about Klopp isn't any better than Ole, then is he? And I think that's what I would say about those types of comments. If the players should be able to adapt to any system, any manager, any training style, and still deliver to the same degree, then the manager isn't important. Therefore, there should be zero banter about managers. Ole's as good as all the others. Pep isn't special. Klopp isn't special. Wenger wasn't special, Fergie wasn't special. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Like, I don't think it's as simple as that. It's about putting players into their best positions as often as you can and utilizing their skill set and almost hiding their weaknesses. I remember reading something about Tiger Woods when he was younger, and he wasn't very good. And I'm talking about the elite level here. And it was like a paraphrase from his book. It may have actually been somebody said this at like a motivational event thing I was at with work or something. I don't know. Maybe I didn't read it. But I was told this story or read this story, one of the two, that when he was younger, he was very poor at getting out of bunkers. It just wasn't his strength. And his dad had him for a period of time, for a period of time, working and training very hard to get out of bunkers. And he just wasn't getting that much better at it. So he told his dad, well, look, I'm one of the best players in the world at this stage, at this age, driving the ball. How about I just work on my driving to a point where I'm so accurate that I very rarely, if not at all, never land in a bunker. So his view was, let me focus on my best skill and make it so good that I don't get hindered by bunkers, rather than wasting my time working on how to get out of bunkers. And I love that attitude. It's focus on what you're good at and elevate that, and push to the side your weaknesses or get other things or other people to cover that for you. And that's how winning is done. That's how successful businesses operate, or businessmen or businesswomen. You take on what are your strengths and you delegate out to capable people your weaknesses. Therefore, everybody thrives. There's a comment here that says that's not his point. Lamin, what is his point then? Like, what is his point? If I swear I read that. I swear I read that as the player should adapt. Paul comes back again and says, like, what style was that? Can you tell me? We know what style Ollie had. He tried to play a direct style of football. He tried to move the ball. I don't know what the name for it is. You can call it direct. You can call it whatever you want. It didn't have a name like a tiki-taka, but then most people's styles don't. It was very direct. There was a lot of counter in terms of what Manchester United tried to do. 3 to 4 passes to move the ball into the box. They tried to use wide play as best they could, but it heavily ended up going down the left-hand side because Ollie couldn't find the balance in his system to go down the right-hand side. The point I'm making is that it didn't work. However, let's take it away from Ollie because people say he doesn't have a style. Would the Liverpool team be as successful if we brought in Sam Allardyce's style? We know what Sam Allardyce's style is, don't we? If Sam Allardyce was the Liverpool manager now, would this Liverpool team perform to the same level? Because they just got to adapt. They should still be able to perform. My point still remains that the man. I'm actually, by the way, I'm praising your manager here. I'm praising Klopp in my comments. I don't understand the saltiness. If the system isn't important and it's all on the players, then we should never focus on managers. But that's not true. The way the system is set up, the roles that you give players to fit their skill set, you hide their weaknesses as best you can, you elevate their strengths as best you can. The better the manager, the better the coaching, the better the system, the more fruit that yields. People now turn around and call people system players, but that's always been the case. If you play someone out of position or in a role in the game that they're not capable of doing, they're going to let the team down. System players have always existed, but it's sensible. Why put Joe Bloggs into a position and a role that he's going to fail at because he's not good at it? That's mad. Like, I think we're downplaying the quality of managers and their influence as far as I'm concerned. Kid Crack here says Ziyech is about to dip. Yeah, I definitely think Ziyech could be on his way out. Terry, you've just admitted that they could not play the system, so they are not good enough. Of course, player quality is important. Again, Liverpool, this is why player quality and the coach and the manager are all important. Again, if you took out Mo Salah and you put in his place Andros Townsend in Liverpool's system, it wouldn't be as good. You need top quality players and a top quality coaching system to yield continual success. They both exist at the same time. The point I'm making is if a top class player should have to adapt to any system, then managers are not important. And if it's just the system that wins, then it doesn't matter about the quality of player that you've got. The madness is both are key. But it isn't as simple as just saying a top-class player will adapt to any system. What if he's put into a role that he's not very good at? That isn't necessarily on him. And not every top-class player can adapt. Steven Gerrard, one of the best midfielders in Premier League history, when he was made to sit deeper and try and play that kind of quarterback-style role, wasn't that great at it in comparison. You know, you've got some of the Claude Makelele, one of the best defensive midfielders in history. Would we say that he's not world-class because he wouldn't have been able to adapt and play in a 10? That's the midfield role. Come on. It's about giving people the right roles. You know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, most Liverpool fans would say is a world-class right back. Well, if he can't play centre-back at a world-class level, does that mean he's not a world-class right back? Of course it doesn't. Come on, my bro. I don't understand what you're saying today, Paul. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like you're angling at attacking a particular player or two, but like missing the rest of football. Zaza here says, I really respect you, Terry, but Ollie's style was non-existent or to see. It's not the style of play to score on the counter. Listen, you're missing the point. Don't get hell-bent on Ollie's style. Forget Ollie. Just drop Ollie out your head and put in Pulis or I'll tell you a great example. Sean Dyche. Would Liverpool be as good now with the same squad with Sean Dyche as their manager? Just forget Ollie, because Ollie like messes with people's heads because nobody could work out what his style was. I think I could see something you couldn't. Forget that. Just drop it. Answer me this question. Just let's blank our minds. Sean Dyche takes over Liverpool. Are they as good in your opinion? Are they as good? That's it. He's got a style, right? We'll recognize it. Are they as good? Yes or no? I want to see it in the comments. Equally, another yes or no. If Jurgen Klopp stays at Liverpool and Mo Salah leaves and Andros Townsend replaces him, if Van Dijk leaves and Phil Jones replaces him, are they as good? I don't know. I just need to know what you're saying. I need to know. Sirim says, yes, Liverpool will be as good. And Zaza said, no, of course they wouldn't be. Exactly back to the original point. But people I'm not going to use Ollie in any more examples. People seem to get really annoyed about it. So I'll leave it out for the rest of my life. World-class players shouldn't just be, if you can't adapt. Look at Lionel Messi playing in Poch's system at PSG. Has he been the best player in the world in the last 4 months? No, because it ain't working for him right now. It's just as simple as that. There we go. Right, cool. Last point on Paul here. Then we're going to go to your calls. Terry, if you've got better players and you can change your system like Sam Allardyce says, assesses what you've got and pick a system what prefers. So Paul, I think you're a Liverpool fan. So if Jurgen Klopp leaves and you announce Sam Allardyce as your manager, you're not going to be bothered. You're going to go, cool, because he'll adapt. Come on, you're not. Stop. Just admit defeat. Come on. Just admit defeat, brother. Come on. Wait, I don't even understand what you're doing right now, my brother. I don't understand what you're saying to me. Maybe the weirdest conversation I've ever had on the terrace. Terry, what's your opinion on Rio Ferdinand's comment? Again, I think Twitter got triggered. I think social media went mental over what was a joke. What was a joke? I thought it was a joke. I thought he was messing around. I couldn't believe people took the bait. You can tell by his face. There was like, you know, when you're trying not to smile and you can see like he's tensing his jaw not to smile. He was joking. And Carragher kind of joked back. And then in their exchange, it turns out he's appearing on his show on next week or something. It's like, it's just a joke. What I've realized on social media in recent times is people can't take jokes more than any. Not Carragher. Carragher took it fine. He joked back. There's a little exchange and it's all done. Like, I feel like real banter's finished now on social media. You make a joke and everyone's up in their feelings big time. Absolutely big time. Pulisic swap De Jong is on. Listen, De Jong would be a really good sign of Chelsea. I'm interested to see how he does. Terry, when is Dean Jones back? He's been back the last couple of weeks. Not on today because I've got to shoot out early, so our timings didn't meet up. But back next week, Dean Jones will be on the show. Right, I want to take your calls this morning. We're talking these two transfer deals. I also want to talk Ballon d'Or if you're interested as well. Intrigued to know what you think about Lionel Messi winning, Mendy not getting a deal, Lewandowski, was he robbed? I want to get your take on that this morning on the terrace. Make sure the like button has been smashed, by the way. That live comment has been posted now. I do want to hear from you. Paul says, Terry, you've missed the point. Explain your point to me then, Paul, because I have missed it. And you're a regular viewer, so I respect you, but I don't understand what it is you're trying to say at all. I don't understand what you're saying. I read your thing as world-class players can adapt to any system and be world-class. So I need to know how that works. Please phone in and let me know, Paul. Phone in. I need to understand it. If you say it and I understand it and realize I misunderstood, I'll apologize. You know me, I'm a real man. I'll always do that. But yeah, I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. Let's have a little look here at some more of your comments. I am Hero says, of course, Liverpool would be rubbish, and I am a Liverpool supporter. I think, do you know what I think sometimes happens with these debates is when people are trying to elevate their manager, they say it's all on them. When they're trying to elevate players or put down somebody else's players, they kind of make it about the player rather than the management. And they're both very, very key in my view. But maybe, again, that makes the debate boring. Terence going on Messi, salty. I haven't mentioned Messi not deserving it yet. So, Natty E, before you make any comments, listen to the words that are going to come out of my mouth. And if you watch the terrace for a long enough time, you know my opinion on player awards, irrespective of who wins them. So, yeah. Big up yourself, Terry. The secret phrase, is it Champions League place is a trophy? It's a really good guess, my friend, but Champions League place is a trophy is not the secret phrase. But thank you very much for having a go. Right. Let's go to our first caller of the day. We're going to get man like Zion on the show to have his say this morning. Big Chelsea fan. Welcome back, my friend. What do you want to say?
You're right, Terry.
Yeah, I'm very well. What do you want to say, buddy?
Two things. First of all, with the Chiesa deal, I mean, I think he'll be a stellar signing for Chelsea, let's be real. I mean, for the Premier League as well. I mean, you saw him in the Euros. He was really good. I think, in my opinion, he was one of Italy's best players in Euros, along with Donnarumma and, Jorginho. But I think bring him in, even if it's a price tag for 18 million, I think it'll be a bargain because he's such a great talent. He's got so much, yet to learn, in the world of football. So I think under Tuchel, he'll thrive. So, and the second thing I wanted to say is that people are still moaning about Ragnick going to United and all that kind of stuff because he hasn't got any trophies under his belt and all that. I said to people, and I've said this a lot to people, United right now need a structure of football. They need a style of play. They need something to start them off. You ain't going to win trophies from the get-go. And Ragnick's that type of manager that's going to get a structure built in United, how to play, how to press, how to win the ball back, how to finish off teams in the final third. That's what you need right now. If you win an FA Cup, say, and get top four, I think that's a phenomenal season for Manchester United. I mean, don't get me wrong, with the players you have, you should be, competing for the big trophies. But with Oli being there for so long and left I think way too late, that's all you can expect right now. And I think if you can get top four and a trophy, but most importantly, get a structure for the permanent manager to come in the summer, teams should be worried about United then, I think, for the foreseeable future, because Ragnick's that type of man. He's got a football brain. He's a mastermind at all this kind of stuff. And, people need to stop moaning and stop being, salty about, United getting someone like a Ragnick at their, club.
Yeah. I look at it this way. I'm very intrigued about what he's going to do. There are question marks still. I very much look at it like we look at the player we're linked with today or the last couple of days in Haidara. And again, I can only talk about what I see. And I don't remember a single comment from a single viewer of the terrace, anyone on my timeline in the last 2 years talking about him being the target and type of player that we should have. That's why I'm excited by it, because I often feel like as fans, we focus on players that we see at a tournament or who do something great or who have a lot of PR or media buzz or who have good FIFA cards or they're good or they're a wonder kid on Football Manager. Like legitimately, that's where I feel like a lot of people's attentions come from. What I'm excited about when it comes to Ralf is elevating what we already are as what we've already built. I believe like a lot of people got at Ollie because they said £400 million spent and not doing well enough. Well, rivals were saying our squad in the summer was good enough to challenge for a title. So therefore, I don't see us needing to change too much, just adding to it like any other good quality, top quality club does. So I'm intrigued to see the players that come in. I'm then intrigued to see the way that he's able to kind of implement and sort of push things and mold things moving forward.
See, with
it's going to be very exciting times ahead, I think.
See, with Ragnick, I think he finds gems. Let's be real when it comes to young talents. He's not finding a talent that people know of already. You know, like this name, I never heard of him. But, you know, he's that type of manager that can probably find a player like that and turn him into like a world star because he's that type of, you know, he's got that footballing brain. And like, you know, people have never heard of, you know, some players and, you know, like Declan Rice, we all know about Declan Rice, but then there's like players like him who just come in out of nowhere. But then that's the manager's, you know, kind of impact there. You know, he's got that much of a footballing brain. He can turn, you know, stars who aren't even stars already and just like, you know, academy boys into stars. And, you know, it's going to be very interesting. Let's be real. As a Chelsea fan, I'm worried, you know, for Manchester United, like not next summer, but then for the next 2 years, because they will be back up there competing. Let's not argue with that. But the question is, the structure needs to be built, and I think that will happen because he's just so good. I've seen him, you know, his press conference. I've seen his conferences, you know, when people asked questions, you know, to him, stuff like that. It's just you want to sit with him all day and ask him questions about football because he's just that good.
Yeah, and I hope so. I hope that it comes to fruition and delivers as a Man United fan. I think the Premier League want this as well. They want another. Imagine we can get to a point where there's at least 4 teams legit challenging for this title. It's already the Premier League is already the best football commodity in the world. It already gets more views than any other domestic league. It will take it back to next levels. Like the return of the top 4 is what I would call it. Like the return of the top 4. That period between kind of 2004 and 2012, 2013, where you know the top 4 were created, and then you sort of just saw Arsenal starting to be pushed out of it by Man City towards the end of it. And then it kind of went to this little period in the middle where Chelsea weren't really at their best for a few years. Even though they won some league titles, it was up and down. United fell off as an example. Arsenal were gone. Liverpool are on the way up. But it was like 1 or 2 teams at a time that were good. There wasn't this plethora of 3 or 4 teams. You know, when we had Scholes in his pomp, Gerrard in his pomp, Lampard in his pomp, all of those, you know, Fabregas at Arsenal, all these teams could win major trophies every year. We are building back towards that. And as a league, I'll say this to the youngsters that don't really remember that era. If you were in your early teens or as a child, proper child when that was going on, you won't remember it maybe as clearly as the older generation. Trust me, you will enjoy it so much more than like walking away with league titles and being the best team by a country. So much more enjoyable. Listen, Zion, great call, my friend. Really appreciate you coming on again and having your say. Top man. Speak to you soon, buddy. Thank you. Another super chat here says, okay, the phrase is finishing in the top 4 is the primary aim. That's a good guess. It isn't. That's a really good guess. I love the creativity there in that guess, my friend. Blessed day to all. Terry, is the phrase playing football the Arsenal way? Hashtag PS5. It isn't. But thank you very, very much indeed. We're going to do something new soon rather than likes to generate more clues. It's going to be about creating comments on the shows after we're finished being live. Because I really appreciate you all coming in and watching us live. What we really need for you to do is when this stream finishes, is go to the comment section and just have a guess. Have a guess at what you think the football phrase is and put hashtag PS5 in it. When you've done that, if we hit over 100 comments on the stream, then what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to make it a bit harder for you all because there's lots of you watching. 150 comments on the stream and we will release another clue. The next clue is going to give it away. And then on the Straight Facts podcast this afternoon, because I really want to give this prize away. This afternoon, when I'm on with Lee Gunn at 3 o'clock, you're going to know what the answer is when I give the clue out. And you're going to do it. So make sure when this show finishes, 150 comments, They have to have hashtag PS5 in them, and then we go from there. Right, we're going to get Mo on soon. We've got Jesse backstage as well. My guy, Mr. Dyer in the house. First, long time no speak. Man like Kai is in the house. The silver-tongued fox is here. What are you saying, bro?
Hey Terry, how are you, man? You good?
I'm good. What are you saying?
Hey man, Chelsea would be good for Chelsea, man. I wanted a goal scoring winger for a while, and he was very good for Italy. A lot of people like to kind of finger point at the season he's having right now at Juventus, but Juventus have their own kind of political issues, with the. Apparently, they're going to get stripped of the latest league title. They're going to have point deduction. Might get relegated. Also, the Allegri style of play doesn't really suit wingers. So, but we will see, man. I think it's a really, really good signing for Chelsea. If he does come in, I think he would offer us a lot more goals than someone like Mason Mount, Ross Barkley, all these guys who are massively overrated by this fan base. But we move to something else. But yeah, he'd be a great signing for Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I think he would. He's such a talented player as well. He's one of those players where I look at it and I am like legitimately jealous of the idea of you getting him. Although United have got such talent in that area ourselves, I feel like I'm maybe being a little bit harsh towards my own. But Chiesa is very talented, and it's funny because what I know is going to come. The way I know this story is going to play out now, it's kind of so obvious from the media. None of the tier ones will confirm that it's doable. They'll sit back because they won't want to come out now and say this is plausible because there's loads of reasons why it won't happen. In the same time, the Italian press and media are not going to like the idea of one of their major stars, one of their superstar players to be coming to the Premier. It's all going to be played down. It reminds me, and I'll give you the example. People will just say, "No, Terry, that's because the deal isn't happening." Look at everybody said Lukaku was impossible all summer. The Italian press, all the tier ones, all the big Italian journalists, no, impossible. And then it happened. This is legitimately a deal that Chelsea could pull off. And with your pulling power, there's just like no reason to even doubt it,
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking that it might not happen because we already have a lot of young players in attack, but I think Ziyech won't stay here for another season. So I think he does need to be replaced. And I think with all the political stuff going backstage at Juventus, I think like none of their players will want to play in Serie B or, I think I don't know if you remember the last time Juventus was relegated due to this stuff. A lot of their players did leave because a lot of them didn't want to stay there, either because of the pay or just they didn't feel affiliated with Juventus, that they wanted to leave. So we will see. We'll see what follows. I don't think it'll happen in January, but if it does, the more attackers, the better. But we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting indeed. In terms of, what's your take as well on the situation with Man United, obviously bringing in Ralf? Do you feel like it's a good move for United? Are you concerned about it? Not worried about it? What's your take, mate?
Yes. I think United did the right move because I love Ragnick. He's such an influential character in German football, and especially with he's like the godfather of Tuchel and Klopp, and I think if you guys can actually have him control your football ideology and like your footballing side, because your business side there's no one close to the marketing of Manchester United. So if you guys can have him focus on the football aspect, I think it's a scary prospect for your rivals, because before it was like all about the marketing, I love Pogba as a football player. That's not dig at him, but it was like the way they marketed like his signing was more about like his brand. So now we'll see. I think it's an ideal situation for United. I think you guys should be excited because that guy is a mastermind.
Yeah, no, mate, I totally agree. It's going to be an exciting time ahead for the Premier League, massively, no doubt about it. Kai, top man for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro.
Cheers.
Thank you very much indeed. Top man. Thank you. Mo's coming up soon, but before him, man like Jesse's in the house, one of our legends and super fans on the terrace. What you saying, bro?
Hey, man. So I was trying to chat about essentially like bringing in Haidara. I believe that it's a good move. Obviously, a good move. And at this point, I mean, obviously, none of us know more than Ragnick. But I was thinking about how Ralph has typically, and you're also speaking about how we don't actually know how he's going to line up with United. Okay, that's fair, but I feel like we actually have the pieces to play something similar to his Leipzig system already. We have typically he likes to play 2-8s. I've been doing this research recently, so maybe he'll come up with something different, but that has been his most recent system that he's applied in Europe. He typically likes to play 2-8s, both obviously capable of pressing, one more as a conductor and the other as a more out and out 8. So Haidara would be kind of that out and out 8. I feel like we have two of those. I feel like we have McTominay, who I don't rate super highly, and he hasn't been very good recently, but can play that box-to-box role. Can't break lines with his passing, but he can dribble through lines, and he can take tackles and draw fouls. Then you have Fred, who obviously has that pressing, isn't the greatest at passing, but typically he's the one who Brazil would basically have going forward with Casemiro holding that role that actually Ragnick would prefer to have. That's why I think that I just find it interesting is really all it is, that this news is obviously coming out off the back of Ragnick. I don't doubt that this is very credible news coming from Hurst, but I will say I just thought it was very interesting. And yeah, like you were saying, I guess we just wait to see what he does. I think it's better if we go for kind of the more conductor like 8, but
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's one of those things. There are a lot of credible sources talking about it, which is really what sort of piqued my interest. And I reached out to a few journalists yesterday that sort of just said, yeah, like United are going to intensify on the basis of the recommendation from Ralph. They're going to intensify some scouting, and they know they need a defensive style midfielder. And the one thing about Declan Rice, he's a huge target, but he's £100 million. This is where someone like Ralf Ragnick more than earns his money at football clubs, is when he's able to go, right, okay, you want a player that fits that profile has got that skill set, can deliver X, Y, and Z, but you don't want to maybe spend £100 million. I can find you someone that's got that same capability for 30 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. Those kind of deals are really important to me as a Man United fan, because even though we spend a lot of money, we've hemorrhaged loads. And at the same time, if you spend £100 million on a player and it doesn't work, it is harder to sell them and it's harder to replace them, because even at every club, there's not a bottomless pit of money because of FFP. So if you spend 25 million on a player and it doesn't work, it's a lot easier to replace them than dropping £100 million. You get my, because literally money don't grow on trees. So I think it's a very intriguing deal. I'm very excited to see how it pans off. Jess, I want to say, listen, mate, thank you for all your support on the terrace, the donations, everything else. Top man. And we'll speak soon, brother. Thank you very much indeed. Absolute legend of a man. Mo's on the show next to have his say on the football terrace. Make sure that like button has been hit. A few people asking for what the previous clues have been for the football terrace secret phrase. Arsenal have a connection. Rivals hate it. When it happens to your club, you love it. Tottenham and Liverpool have big examples of this. The Manchester derby, Myrtle is another one of the clues. Remember, if we hit over 150 comments on the stream when we're finished, hashtag PS5 has to be in the comment afterwards. Even if it's just hashtag PS5, put those comments in. We'll release another clue. And when we release it, you are going to get it. It is so simplistic and easy after this final clue. They're the clues right now. But Mo's on the show now. Mo's a Man United fan. What you saying, mate?
Guten Morgen, Terry, which is good morning in German. I've been practicing my German. Yeah, I mean, the way this football club now is starting to run and operate is starting to make a bit more sense now with Ralph coming in. I think with this player that's been linked to us, I like it because there's some sort of scouting that's been done. It's not the big superstar player that we always go for. And the key denominator in this is that Richard Arnold is now focusing on the business side. He's going to be, look, I'm going to do the business side of things. I'm not going to, get involved in the footballing side. The footballing side, he's, they're bringing Ralf Ragnick, and he's going to be the coach, then the consultant for 2 years. And you know what? It's starting to run like a football club, because now the Ed Woodward era is over of 8 years. It's finished now. It's coming to an end. The problem with Man United was Ed Woodward, Terry, had his hand on everything. And he doesn't know anything about football. He can't scout players. All he knows is the big superstar players. If we had Ed Woodward still in charge of United, yeah, we would have gone for Declan Rice for 100 million because that's all we know. But now we've got a footballing man that is is pretty much in charge of our football club, who's gonna run things differently. And I want to see these hidden gems that Man United to get. And the superstar players are great, Terry. They're great. We all love superstar players, but it's not worked for the last 8 years. It hasn't. We've had Di Maria flop, Memphis Depay flop, Falcao flop. The list goes on and on and on. They've all flopped, Terry, because they haven't delivered a league title or Champions League title. Now we've got a system in place. Hopefully, we can see it blossom into something nice.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree with you, and there is a lot of exciting times ahead for us as well. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know too much about Haidara, what he's about. I haven't watched him play. I've been watching some stuff on Y Scout, and he looks a serious talent. Let's see what he turns into. Mo, great call as ever, mate. Top man.
Thanks,
Thank
Terry.
you very much
Bye.
for coming on and having your say. Cheers, bro. Thank you. Roman here says, Terry, is the phrase bragging rights? No, it isn't bragging rights, but thank you very, very much for having a go. Remember, you can join, ladies and gentlemen, our private Telegram group. I've shared that link in there. We're going to be putting a lot more content into this private Telegram group as well. So going out, I am thinking, and let me know if you want me to create a secondary one where you guys can all comment as well. So this one's admin only, so you won't be bombarded with lots of links and people posting things. We can create a secondary one for a bit more of a conversation as well. I have employed recently a production assistant on the Terrace, and as we train him up, I'm going to spend a lot more time with my members as well in our Legends and Superfan groups and other different bits and pieces. So lots more content coming your way, lots more interactions with me moving forward just as we grow. JP says, Terry, no more commercial signings. And I hear people on that. I do hear people on that. David here says, think of the flops are largely down to the system and management more than the players of late. What position is Haidara? Well, it's interesting because all I read when I heard the links to him the other day, I was like, okay, well, where does he play? What does he do? Where does he operate as an example? So obviously I went out and had a little bit of a look, and everywhere was saying sort of defensive midfield player, but it's defensive midfield stroke central midfield. That's where he predominantly kind of plays and where he operates and what he does. He's actually scored 2 goals, I think, this season. The last time I looked and had a check. But what I really like to focus on when it comes to players is where do they operate on the field of play? Heat maps are key. Where are they touching the ball? Where are they making their tackles? Where are they having that influence on the game? I've always found that's a really key component with players that often gets ignored, really. They get ignored. It's always he starts in central midfield, so therefore he starts as a DM, therefore he is a DM. So, okay, but what does he actually do on the field of play? You get what I'm saying? Is he playing in that position, or is he somewhere else? I was waiting for this to load here as I say that. His heat map's really interesting, or it has been, at least if I look at him if you look at the Bundesliga and Champions League as an example. Plays quite a bit of his game north of that halfway line on that right-hand side. So very much Scott McTominay's position on the field of play when you look at his heat map. So it's heavily weighted on the right-hand side. And I would say double the amount of touches and interactions he has with the ball come north of the halfway line. So yes, he's defensive, but does he sit there and protect that back four? As far as I can see, not throughout the whole game. He certainly advances. He certainly operates out on that right-hand side. But with that being Man United's weakest side, that normally being McTominay's area, could that be somewhere that he obviously goes on to improve for the football club? Very much could be. If you look at him as a statistical breakdown as a player, look at his passing accuracy, 84%. Through ball accuracy at 34%. Not a huge creator, though. So he isn't an advanced player that creates. He's more that pass before the pass, if that makes any kind of sense. I know people love that kind of analysis. This season, but he's not a huge creator. Like 2 assists in over the last little while in the Bundesliga. Only 2 assists so far in his Bundesliga and Champions League career. So he's not a huge creator in terms of what he does, but there's a huge amount of talent there. Huge amount of talent there. Super Chat says, Chiesa leaving Juve is realistic. Juve is planning to play in Serie B in the coming summer. Well, I wouldn't say they're planning on it, but it could certainly happen if they're found guilty of further corruption at that football club. So it could happen. Mr. Anthony's on the show with us now. What you saying, brother? How are you?
How are you, Terry?
I'm very, very well. What's on your mind, my friend?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Finally recovered after that stupid draw that we had. My God, I was really ticked off because I had to live through that the whole day. Because for me, the game ended early in the morning, and it's just madness. But yeah, the Chiesa signing, I mean, the rumor is quite interesting, to be honest. I do believe Hakim Ziyech, his time is quite over at Chelsea. It just doesn't seem like a right fit for us at the moment. Um, a lot of people are saying Timo Werner, he's not good enough. I like Timo. I think his work rate is excellent for the club, but the most important thing, I have to put my bias aside and be like, the most important thing for him is to score goals, and he is not doing that for us on a regular basis, and that's what we bought him for, because that's what he was known for, not for his, work rate or anything of that sort. Um, However, in saying that, I would say we would not sell Pulisic as well because of the American connection and the market share over there as well. So I think Pulisic will be here, but I could see Werner and Ziyech both moving ahead in their careers from Chelsea, because at the end of the day, we are Chelsea Football Club. We don't care. We would just move them along. It is what we have done for the last years and so on and so forth. And I'm quite excited. I take it as a positive, and at the end of the day, I do trust in Thomas Tuchel. It's if he wants Chiesa and if the club wants Chiesa, might as well do it. And I am also a bit. I'm thinking on the side where are we looking at a little bit of the centre backs as well, because I think we are having a few centre backs whose contracts are running to the end by the end of this year. So yeah, that's my thought process on that side of things. But as I said, it's a very very interesting season this season, and it's very very competitive. It's draining as well sometimes, but yeah, like I'm very excited to see if Chiesa is coming to Chelsea. I believe we will sign an attacker as well, because I want even I wouldn't be overly surprised if Chelsea thought of selling Havertz as well. It is what it is with Chelsea. We really don't care about these types of things, and we might sell it. And I seen some of the comments before your stream started, and some of the guys are saying, "Oh, this is what Chelsea does," and now you're doing this. I mean, it is what a big club should do, in my opinion. I mean, any big club, if a player is not performing, it really shouldn't matter how much you paid for him. You got to move them on and bring in new blood to
Yeah,
do what's right.
of course. It's when you break it down to granularity, it's what are Chelsea meant to do? Just keep playing a player that isn't performing it because he costs lots of money. When you're rich and you're wealthy, you can operate like that, and that is just
Exactly.
the way. That's the way the world is. I always remember, it's going to sound like the weirdest motivation in life, but I remember watching, I think it was a My Crib show or something, and I don't remember who the person was, and they said they never wear the same pair of socks twice. They love the feeling of putting brand new, fresh socks on, and they throw them away. But no, I'm not. But they literally and I was like, imagine that, having enough, and they were like good socks as well. They them expensive socks you get in JD or somewhere like that, and it was sort of like he never wears the same pair of socks or underwear twice, and I was like, well, that's because he's wealthy enough to do it. Like,
exactly.
Fair play to him. He's earned that money. If that's what he chooses to spend it on, fair play. Chelsea have got all that money. If they choose to keep buying players, that's on them. Like, you got to adapt. Bro, listen, top man, I really appreciate you coming on and having your say. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Next on the show, Lamin is here. Another Chelsea fans in the house this morning with us. Lamin, welcome back. Chiesa to Chelsea. What are you saying, mate?
Oh, fantastic news, man. We therefore need to add to our attack. Chiesa, I watched him a couple of times. I'm very, very impressed. And you know what? if he comes in, Werner can go, man. I've run out of patience with the guy. He was good in the Bundesliga. I don't think the Premier League is for him. I would even be happy to do a swap deal with him, plus money on top. Just take this guy, just take him. As long as he doesn't go to another Premier League team. You know what? He can go to another Premier League team. I don't care. He can just go. But he's been a major flop for us. And for us now, after what happened Sunday, we're just ready to bounce back. Really, I can't wait for the next Chelsea game so we can just turn that wrong right and keep challenging for the league. Really. One thing about Chiesa, though, I'm not even putting my hopes up for it being their January signing. All of the news regarding it basically just saying we're going to go for him in the summer.
Yes, I mean, it's a summer thing. I think a lot of it depends on Juve's Champions League position, their league status at the time. But it's something that seems to have pricked Chelsea's interest. They're looking at him, but who knows? Chelsea. Would it surprise me if Chelsea went big and tried to sign, even if they make the Champions League? They looked at him last year. They made inquiries last year about him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea went in again. Chelsea will play it down. They'll tell their tier ones, no, we're not. That's because nobody wants to have on their record a fouled transfer attempt. Just the way the world is now. Listen, my brother, I appreciate you coming on and having your say this morning. Top man. Thank you. Lamin, legend. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you. We're back 3 p.m. The Straight Facts podcast. Myself and Lee Gunner, we are live. So make sure you're tuning in. When this video ends, go to the comment section. If we hit 150 comments with hashtag PS5 in them, we will reveal another clue for the Football Terrace secret phrase. So make sure you get that done afterwards. Until next time, people, look after yourselves. Take care. Good.